Let us begin. My name is Michael Skolnik.
My name is Jamira Burley.
And we are Cash Money Productions. So I am the editor-in-chief of GlobalGrind.com, as well as the political director to Russell Simmons. And I am honored and privileged to be sitting next to someone who I met very recently, but is very much a hero of mine, Jamira, and she will tell her story in a moment. But we're going to talk today about youth violence, and I do think that it's an unfortunate, timely issue every day in this country, but it's an unfortunate, timely issue in the world as we're seeing what's happening in the United Kingdom since the killing of Mark Duggan on Friday afternoon or Friday evening. For me personally, youth violence I remember when I was in high school, Oprah Winfrey did a show on youth violence, and I was in a video editing class, and my project for that class was to make a 1-minute video about a gun. And I made this video, and I've always been sort of recognized the color of my skin and the gender of my body and the economic situation I grew up in and found myself in, and always knew my privilege and white privilege and male privilege and American privilege, but growing up in New York, seeing the differences between my life and a young person living in deep struggle, and then a young person dealing with violence, which I didn't deal with and haven't dealt with, thankfully. And I always believed that I could go down two roads. I could go down one road, which was sort of the path of my peers, which is making a lot of money and shitting on a lot of people and me. Or I could go down the road of sort of sharing what I have and what I know with the rest of the world. And I did that over 10 years making movies, and I essentially became a messenger. And I'm not talking a messenger of any other great prophets, but a messenger of people's stories. And I made films, and a lot of films about violence, and film for HBO about Bloods and Crips in Little Rock, Arkansas, and films about guys in prison, a ball player in prison, and 3 girls who were locked up in prison. Another film that I made called On the Outs. And was just sort of fascinated by how in this country we deal with violence, and how we have so much attention and treatment to war zones, but yet when we have war zones in our own communities in this country, we look at them differently, and from a white perspective, much differently. So for the past 10 years, I made a commitment, or the 10 years I made film, I made a commitment to myself and to my generation that I would do everything in my capacity to address this issue. When Darion Albert was killed in September of 2009, I had the fortunate capacity to be involved in Global Grind, and at that point working for Russell Simmons, when I decided to take a break making movies, and I had the ability to again be the messenger. And when I was the messenger in this capacity, I wanted, you can do a quick exercise with your friends, and you ask your friends, name, and today's a good day, but name 5 white children who have been killed. And you can say John Benet Ramsey, you can say Natalie Holloway. I can tell you today, just today, I'm going to look this up so I don't get it wrong. The number 1 hottest topic on BuzzFeed today is Aruba missing, and it's Robin Gardner, a young white blonde-haired, beautiful young woman who's missing in Aruba, and we know her name. You name 5, and Natalie Holloway, God bless her soul, and John Benet Ramsey, they were killed. John Benet Ramsey was killed 15 years ago. 1995, 17 years ago, 16 years ago. And we still know her name. We still know her name. These names are in American culture. They're ingrained in us. And then I say, name 5 black kids who have been killed. And I can put my life salary on it that most of your friends and most of my friends and most of us can't name them. So when Darion was killed, I made it a mission of mine to at least give this young man some dignity of his name. So you stop calling him black teen or young teen or black boy or black man or black whatever or Chicago teen. But no, he has a name. Darion Albert. He has a name. His mother has a mother, has a father, he has grandparents who cry and suffered and pain when he was killed. And so ever since that moment, we created this campaign. He has a name, she has a name when a young person is killed. We put it on our site. We talk about it on social media. And that's what I can give. That's in my capacity. That's what I. All right, I think we're back. I think we just lost you guys for a moment. That's the power of the internet. It didn't really matter because it was me talking some nonsense anyway. But I don't come from this life. The last thing I was going to say is I don't come from this lifestyle of violence. I don't know if violence is a lifestyle, but I don't come from a community where I saw a lot of violence. But what's happening in the United Kingdom affects me. What's happening in Jamira's life and the community she came from affects me. All these things have affected me in my life. And I am just an equal part of this generation that I love so much. And the last thing that I want to see is us, A, killing each other, or B, being killed. So we're going to take some questions a little bit later, but this isn't a black issue. This isn't a white issue. This isn't a Latino issue. This isn't an Asian issue. This isn't a straight issue or a gay issue or a transgender issue. This is a generational issue. This is an issue that affects all of us, whether directly or indirectly. And if we don't sort of believe that it doesn't affect us, we listen to her story. And then you're going to say, damn. You're going to realize why I asked her to come and be with me today. So, Jamira.
Hi, everyone. As I mentioned before, my name is Jamira Burley, and I'm originally from the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection, which many people may not consider to be as of now, considering all the violence that is going on in the cities and in the school. But I'm very excited to be here today to talk about such an important issue as violence. Too often, we think that the person, just because we don't know them, we're not affected or we can't be affected. But I know firsthand. I grew up in a city where the death by violence rate grew with me. I'm one of 16 children, first in my family to graduate high school and go to college. But it was a struggle.
Say that again. Say that again.
I am one of 16, first in my family to graduate high school and go to college. But it was a struggle for me. I grew up in an environment where a lot of my family members were being incarcerated. My mother actually spent more nights behind bars than she did at home. And my father's actually incarcerated now in Virginia for murder. So my entire life, I've been surrounded by violence, either directly or indirectly. And as I was growing up, one of the things that I noticed is that my 10 older brothers, started to go down the same path as my parents. Many of them were incarcerated for either short or long periods of time. But I think what really encouraged me to get out of my situation or to start making something of myself is the fact that when my brother was murdered in 2005, it kind of hit me that this wasn't the environment I wanted to live in. I didn't want to be surrounded by violence, and I didn't want to live in a place where I was afraid to walk down my own block. And I tell people all the time, we live in a world where violence is daily and murder is common, but I think it's really sad to see young people who are afraid to live, afraid to believe that they can be more than their predecessors, and afraid to even go to school. So I'm very excited for this conversation today. Hopefully me and Michael can add some insight and really bring some light to the fact that violence is affecting us everywhere, in Philadelphia and London. And this is an issue that we need to not only talk about, but create solutions around so that way we can stop people from losing their lives and becoming statistics, or stop them from people forgetting their name, which is a sad thing to think about. But I'm just here to, providing the information that I can. Currently, I'm now the program director. I'm a coordinator for the National Peace Alliance, which we are working to now bring some, shed some light on this issue of violence and to make sure that people know, politicians, city officials, residents know that violence is a very important issue and that we need to not only create solutions for it, but we need to make sure that it's an agenda item. So if you guys have questions, please send them in. We're very excited to be here, and this is just the first step.
Also, one thing I want to plug, well, let me take a step back. You dropped some jewels. You said violence is common, but murder...
Violence is common. Violence is daily and murder is common.
Violence is daily and murder is common. Growing up for you, how did you deal with the violence?
I mean, even though I grew up in a part of the city where many politicians don't want to talk about, and it's not very tourism, it's not a tourist place. One of the things for me is that I was very sheltered by my older brother. So even though they were getting incarcerated and they were being pushed out and I kicked out of school, they were being pushed out of school, they sheltered me in a lot of ways. So I didn't come into contact with violence directly until after my brother and then my stepfather, who was murdered, happened. So for me, it's just something to see. It's very common. I mean,
when that happened, how did you deal with it when your brother was murdered?
I was very angry. I started to get into fights. I ended up getting arrested, and it wasn't until after I kind of got out from being arrested and from getting into fights in school that I realized that why am I portraying this person? Why am I now committing violent acts when I didn't like it happening to my brother? So
and
for
was
me,
there a moment that something clicked, or you realized, or you thought, I'm not doing this no more? Like, when did that happen?
I was 16 years old. We had just got evicted for maybe the sixth time, and I was living with my mother and 5 younger brothers and sisters in a motel. And I remember just sitting there on the floor, rocking my baby brother to sleep. And all of a sudden, my mother accused us of something we didn't do. She starts to beat me and my brother with a hanger. And that moment for me, after running out of the hotel room and leaving that situation, was just like a wake-up call. Like, I don't want to live in this type of environment. I don't want to live paycheck to paycheck. And I don't want my kids to suffer in an environment where they will most likely either get killed or go to prison. And so for me, that was just a reminder and saying that I needed to set a good example for my younger brothers and sisters and to make something of myself.
Well, let me ask you, you're the first to graduate, right? Mm-hmm. So I call it the Colin Powell syndrome. It's like, well, if he could do it, everyone could do it. And there's a lot of talk that, well, if you made it out, what's wrong with your brothers and sisters?
It's a belief. It's a belief that society and media has put on us that we can't be anything more than our predecessors and that we're only going to go as far as the neighborhood we were born into. And I think I never stopped believing. I never stopped believing that I could be a doctor, that I could be the next president. But a lot of people in my community, a lot of people in my family didn't even think that they were going to make it to 21. They didn't think that it mattered what they did as long as that they were able to feed their family and they were able to live either from today to tomorrow. So I think we have to bring back the faith. We have to bring back the hope and make people realize that there's opportunities out there for you, that you have to look for them, but also we as society need to provide them for our young people.
And what in your opinion, Jamira, if you had a magic wand, you look at violence today, what's the first thing you do with that wand?
First thing I'd do with that wand is that I would sit in a room with a group of young people, diverse group of young people, and ask them what could we as a society provide to them to make them succeed. What can we provide, like resources, mentorship, like what is needed in your community that is not being met? And a lot of young people would say, well, I can't eat. I don't have a coat to wear when it's cold outside to go to school. Like, I have to take care of my younger brothers and sisters, so I can't even make it to school in time. And so I think we need to first realize that this generation currently is not the same generation 20 and 40 years ago. We're dealing with young people who are now working, young people under 18 who are working past 12 at night, who are taking care of their young brothers and sisters, who may even have a family of their own. So I think we need to start thinking about what resource can we provide to this generation that will help them succeed and take them out of the environment that is exterminating them. Young people are being exterminated. And it's sad. It's sad that every day you see something on the news about a young black boy dying in America. This shouldn't happen.
There's something that I would like to add to what you're saying is that I see, you're getting quoted on Twitter by a hero, Biko Baker. So that's always a good sign. When a great young leader, Biko Baker, who's really one of our champions, is quoting you, you're saying some real, I told you, dropping jewels. But the one thing I want to add to this is that, I almost got mugged about a year and a half ago at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Broad daylight.
Broad daylight, Wednesday afternoon. 2 15-year-old kids rolled up on me and my girlfriend, and they were like, "Give me your money." And I was like, "Huh? What? 15 years old? What are you doing out here trying to take my money at 10 o'clock in the morning?" Long story short, I talked them out of it, and I took them to breakfast, 2 of them. And
that's amazing.
No, it was a wild moment. It was a 15-minute, incident where they tried to punch me and they missed. And Kevin, if you landed,
only you would do that though.
He probably would have knocked me out, not go up front like, oh, I would have taken a blow to the chin. I took him to breakfast, and that afternoon I went to a lunch, a very fancy lunch, which I normally don't do, with some people from the foundation, and of course I told them what happened in the morning, and they were like, "Oh, those monsters! Oh, those freaking kids! Oh, those monsters!" And I thought a lot about this since that time, and when I was 10 years old, I grew up in New York, right above New York City, in an affluent community. My mother was a chef in a restaurant. My father was in construction. We were upper middle class. We did fine. We weren't wealthy, but we weren't middle class. I had a car at 16 and a VCR in my room and Nintendo when it came out. But when I was 10, I knew at 14 years old you could work. I knew you get working papers at 14.
Yeah.
And I got my working papers. And I went and I got a job. When I was 14, I knew when I had a job, I was going to have a career. When I was 16, I saw everyone else at school going to college. I knew I was going to college. So I always had something to look forward to during that time. If you're 12 years old and you're hungry and hopeless, you see a white guy in a suit and tie in the street, we have a visitor. We're live on Ustream. You want to come join us?
What are you doing?
We're live on Ustream.
Talking about violence.
Youth violence.
Join the chat.
We're live right here. Look, we have a very special guest who wants to talk about youth violence for a moment.
It's a busy schedule.
We know what it is. It's like a lot of people, I was young. I know I had experiences where everybody was violent, and it was like a mob scene, like you do what your friends do, and that's what, that's what people do. Adults would do it too. They go to war, they put people in ovens, they do violent, backwards, hurtful stuff. But you know better in your heart than to do, and you got to have a little courage and make a choice on your own which direction you're going. If you promote really, non-violent, kind of a happy life, you go up on the corner, right, and you have an ice grill, like you look real mean, on the corner, you catch a problem. But if you go up and you're like that kind of good guy, everybody like love to see you, then everybody will give you back good. We want good, not bad. I mean, it sounds crazy. Good, bad, it's obvious, right? You want a good result. You want like happiness. You want money. If it helps somebody make money, you want goodness. You want to give somebody some goodness. You got to give people what you want. That's just real talk. It's real. It's obvious. It's instant. Just as instant as coming up on a corner with a mean grill, a mean face. But what they gonna do to you? You're gonna cause a problem on the subway, wherever So I'm asking young people to pay attention because adults are fucked up. They make bad decisions on a regular basis, and and as a young person, you don't have to make the choices because everybody else is making them. And I say this, I was in a gang. I remember everybody was in a gang with me. If I could think of, I had a picture the other day with the basketball team from 192, a lot of them in 7 Immortal. There's 10 pictures, 10 people, and 7 of them are dead. 7 of the 10. I looked at that, I was like, holy shit. Then I thought about, these are kids I grew up with. Spooty upstairs brought me the picture. My man Spooty, right? Spooty, we all been through a lot of shit. The people that's living, Spooty's good, but 2 of them, one of them got the big swollen dope fiend hand still, and he ain't shot dope in years. He just looks 100. my age. And then another one is, it's like in jail, and there's footies upstairs. It's me, footy, and the dope fiend, or the ex-dope fiend. And the other 7 are dead. I'm looking at that, I'm saying how lucky I am. But it's not really luck, I just made a different choice. In other words, what we were doing, I stopped doing it, did something different. All you gotta do is do something different. If you're going the wrong way, you can simply go the other way. And you gotta get up, and that's an individual thing. You can't make all your friends and them do that. You say, they're going that way, you say, yo, I'll see y'all later. Yeah. It's that simple. And instead of being like everybody else who's so angry and frustrated, they don't say it, but it's really active, angry and frustrated. Instead of being like them, there's a big space for people who are happy and giving. Mm-hmm. And it just provides a long life. You make money by helping people make money. Just become a good servant, and you give what you want. A lot of preaching, but it's just real talk. It's real talk. It's like your mama told you that. If you're a Christian, Jesus told you that. Muhammad, Buddha told you that. Everybody told you that. Smart people told you this shit. Farrakhan tell you that. The rabbi tells you that. Everybody tells you the same thing. Yeah. Good gets good. Bad is bad. You know what I mean? Not like bad, I go for bad, I'm doing good. Not like Run DMC. I'm not talking about, or like a rapper say it's bad, I'm bad. Like LL Cool J. It's not that. It's really bad is fucking bad. And they say hell. I mean, you have to believe in hell. You burn. Even the end of Scarface, he's the hero. He dies. Yeah. You don't want to die. You want to die? If you're out there and you got bodies or your friend is murderers, you got to stay away from them. You got to change your life. If you got friends who's murderers, you're going to be just like your friend. You got to stay away from people who's doing shit you don't want to do. And you always look at it like, oh, look what they're doing. I'm not as bad. I know that experience. I'm not doing what they're doing. Stay away from them. You ain't got to worry about it. Do what the good people are doing. Saying, I'm not doing what they're doing. That's such a simple experience. It says that. My friends are worse than me. You got the wrong friends. Mm-hmm. Get some friends that's doing better than you. That's it.
All right. That's your knowledge for the day.
That's too much?
We appreciate that. We're live, so now you can do about it. We're live.
We're live?
Yeah. So, you want to come back for more?
For real? Oh, really?
Yeah, you're really live.
Yo, what up? I think it's chilling here.
All right. Wait a minute. Thank you for your time. It's a serious conversation.
I'm serious too. I'm trying to tell them, y'all fuck around and act up, you're gonna catch hell.
Now you sound like.
And if you get, I'm telling the truth. And if you act up, you're gonna catch hell. And if you go to jail and get in that system, it's gonna be very difficult for you. It's gonna be twice as hard to build yourself out of it. Then one little mistake that gets you in jail will make it so you don't get nothing out of life, or make it very difficult to get anything. So don't get locked up.
Appreciate your time, sir.
You heard it first. Well, not first. You heard it again.
Uncle Rush.
Again and again, the same shit over and over, right?
Yes.
The same thing over and over again.
All right, we're going to take some questions.
Yes, the first question we have.
Question?
Not for you, for Jamira.
The first question that we have is from All That and More. Do you feel like broken homes play a big role in urban violence?
You want to address that?
I want to address that.
Yes.
Let me just say one thing.
All right. This is a gift.
Clearly you're joining the conversation. Okay.
I'm leaving though, but listen.
Broken home.
I know what the question is, man. Broken home, listen, everybody got something, an excuse for why they act a certain way. Truth is, you make decisions on your own. I know that there's a lot of people from broken homes that became president, for instance, the president's from broken home. A lot of people come from different struggle, and a lot of people, get up and make the best of it. A lot of people come from really affluence and money and family, and they can figure out a way to complain. All the choices are up to you. They're all inside you. So, yes, more likely people from broken homes don't have enough advice. This is advice I'm giving you here. This is fatherly advice. You ain't got to have a father. You heard this shit. This is real talk. You just got to make choices on your own, and you got to look what's right and do what's right. It's simple. And so broken homes can contribute, because you have less people telling you what's right, but you can get what's right everywhere.
Words of wisdom. Uncle Rush.
I'm really leaving now.
All right,
Bye.
appreciate it. That was unplanned, but I would have to say that is a daily occurrence of my life. That is my boss. So it may be the godfather of hip hop, but he is also my boss. So going back to, I'm going to give a quick plug to the League of Young Voters.
Yes.
We did see Biko Baker up there on Twitter. So Global Grind, which we've discussed.com, is a sponsor, and a media sponsor for Put Your Guns Down, which is going to be an event that the league is putting on out in Milwaukee. I believe it's happening in September 4th in Milwaukee. So, we saw what happened in Wisconsin last night. We came close to having a new Senate, but the Republicans did hold on to seats. So there was a tremendous amount of young people participating in those elections, which was positive. Whether you voted Republican or Democrat, I think being part of the process is what was important. But the issues in Wisconsin are our issues, and what's happening in Milwaukee are our problems. And so we do support the young people there in Milwaukee. One thing I want to talk about with you, Jamira, I know you've been a champion of the Youth Promise Act. And I know we have some fans out there of the Youth Promise Act. Tell us about what we can do to support that, and exactly what is the Youth Promise Act.
Well, basically, the Youth Promise Act is a piece of legislation that calls for Congress to allow communities to give money to organizations and nonprofits who are already on the ground doing the work and doing work that is shown to be working in that community. It's also an opportunity to use that work and find out ways to implement it in communities that have extremely high rates of violence. And one thing that I think is really important about that piece of legislation is that it also asks for communities to build coalitions of organizations and individuals and people in the community who really want to make a change in regards to violence, and ask them to sit down at the table and come up with solutions for that specific community. Unfortunately, it did not pass last time that it was introduced, but that doesn't mean that we can't get the piece of legislation reintroduced. So we ask that everyone, you tell your friends, you tell your family members, you tell your cousin, you tell the guy down the street to call their legislators and ask them to support the Youth Promise Act and to come on board as a sponsor. You can also go to the website, either to the National Peace Alliance website, or you can also go to www.thepromiseaction.org. So it's www.promiseaction.org. You can find out more information about it. You can also
We're going to double check
contact
that,
those
right?
organizations.
Promiseaction.org. And make sure that site's still up, just in case someone try to come in and take it down.
No, don't take it
No
down.
good. Let's try it again. Don't go anywhere from our good fellow
Stay there.
Youth Promise Act. We'll make sure we get this one right. It is youthpromiseaction.org.
See?
You said promiseaction.org.
Youth Promise
You forgot
Action.
the youth part.
Youthpromiseaction.org. Find out more information, contact your legislators, and call your community members and ask them to support this piece of legislation that is really important, not only for violence in other cities, but also violence in your own community.
We got other questions coming in?
Yes. Oh, and also, can you guys please go to putthegunsdown.org and find out information about that event.
Putthegunsdown.org.
So we have another question from Matt. Put the guns down. Okay. What can we do to support the Youth Promise Act? We already recently said that.
Yep.
Any more questions that you guys have?
We got a question here about what do you guys think of what's happening in the United Kingdom?
Oh, yeah.
So, Jamira, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm disturbed, to be honest. But it goes to show you, though, that violence is just not. It's not just happening in America. It is happening all over the world, and young people are being fed up. I mean, Martin Luther King said that a riot is the voice of the unheard. So what are we not hearing from these citizens and from these community members?
Say that one more time.
Martin Luther King said a riot is the language of the unheard. So what are we not doing to listen to what the concerns or issues of these people are in that community, and how can we help provide those resources? I'm very disturbed, but it goes to show you that this can happen anywhere, and that we don't want it to happen here. So what can we do to change that?
So we got 160 people, in the room, which is incredible. And you can tweet us at let's see what you can tweet us. You can tweet I think at the League 99, taking questions. You can tweet me at Michael Skolnik, MichaelSkolnik, or you can tweet Jamira at JAMIRA. MiraBurley. We're checking the Twitter. We got the chat going. I want to talk a little bit about the UK for a minute.
Because you're planning to try to get there.
We were going to hop on a plane last night. Russell and I were, and go to London today. And I spoke to a number of people and a number of the artists last night. I was on the phone for about 4 or 5 hours with some folks in the United Kingdom, and I was on the phone today with some folks in the United Kingdom and London and Manchester and Birmingham. Don't get it twisted that this can't happen in our country. And don't think what's happening in London is because a 29-year-old was shot by the police on Friday. We're this close. And I'm not trying to play fear politics. We're this close to having young people sort of go over the tipping point. What I said on Twitter last week was every person has a tipping point, like a teapot. London's pot has tipped. We all have tipping points. Ours might be a little more repressed than others because of the society we live in. But we saw what happened in Oakland 3 weeks ago when a young man was killed by the police. And the crowd formed and they protested the next day. And there's a tremendous amount of frustration that I see that we talk to young people all day long. From young people who don't believe that they can reach the American dream. And with that frustration came what I spoke about before is hopelessness and hunger. Our jobs as people who have opportunity in college education and jobs and I wish I could turn off my ringer, but I don't know how. So, hello? No. Our job...
Michael Skolnik, 3006.
Can't take that. We're live on Ustream. Our job as those who have opportunity is to make more opportunity for others. It's not about socialism. It's not about capitalism. But to say, look, it's like, you hold, yes, sir.
Russell again.
Russell's back. Can't get enough of this.
The last question.
We're talking about
The last question about the United Kingdom.
A lot of kids running around and should I be on the screen?
Yeah,
a lot of kids that's running around in London catching their first records, their first system, first time they get in the system. And a lot of them is sons and daughters of immigrants who, fought so hard to get them there. It's not like they're in Somalia. I mean, they got full bellies. It's the same rap. Yeah. Youth culture is about like this expressing yourself. And sometimes it's about changing the system because you see the contradiction in what the adults is telling you or what the system is telling you and what you know is right. And so it's good to have a voice and to share it. An important voice that's meaningful and more clear than one that's been compromised by living in a system that makes everybody conform. So they sheeple, keep doing the same shit over and over again. You see that and you want to change that, but if you don't go about it the right way, then you just bang your head against the wall. It's, like I said, about getting into that system for the first time. It's about maybe getting in that system and not coming out, or maybe getting yourself killed or hurt, or family disappointed. I know probably people think when you're young, you feel like you're invincible. But making a mark that sticks with you for the rest of your life is a really important thing you gotta think about. And I'm asking people to stay out of it. I mean, I'm gonna address the youth in London like in the next few hours and put up a piece that speaks directly to them. I really want them to realize that what they take in their life in their hands, and that their life to be changed forever. By some small mistakes right now, following the crowd. So I'm asking them, please, not to follow the crowd. So that's what I'd say about London. I was saying in Somalia and in India and in all kind of places throughout Africa, besides Somalia, and all over the world, people are suffering for real. And their anger and their frustration is felt, but there's better ways to get that out. Mm-hmm. And each individual got to protect themselves. They got a future or not. They may really end up with no future behind something small, like just following your friend out, down a dumb path. So I'm just asking people to stay out of it.
There you have it.
Huh?
So there you have it. More words of wisdom.
Can I just mention, though, that our moderator, Tyrell
how's he doing?
Thomas, he mentioned...
Where's Tyrell Thomas? Where's he located?
He's actually located in Atlanta, Georgia right now. But he's from Philadelphia, so let's not forget that.
The home team.
And he's from an organization, Lift Up. So if you guys want to find that information, you can. But I just want to mention, he said, damn the UK, it's riots in America, urban communities every day, LA riots. So it just goes to show you... New Orleans riots. And clearly, in Philadelphia, we have flash mobs. So... it can happen here. We just need to be prepared for it, or stop it from happening.
I think that, what I was saying before I was interrupted by my boss.
He's about to say rudely.
So nicely. I love him to death. What I was saying before was that we gotta, what's good with the Youth Promise Act is we have to start thinking about things in 40-year spans. I don't want to stop the violence. I want to stop the violent culture. Right? We can stop the violence the best we can tomorrow, and that's important. And we don't want someone to die tonight or die right now or die tomorrow. But we have to look at what is our generation going to do over the next 40 years to turn this thing around. We saw from the 60s to the 2000s a great change in this country. We saw from the Great Depression to the 60s a great change in this country. We saw in 2008 a great change in this country, for better or for worse, whether you like the president or not the president. There was a dramatic change in the first black president we've ever had in this country, which is impressive for a country built on immigration and the melting pot mentality. But we have now 40 years ahead, what are we going to be as a generation? Who are we going to be? When you look at violence, and I look at what happened in New Orleans after Katrina, I look what happened in L.A. I remember my mother went to L.A. in May, whatever it was, right after the third or fourth day of that riot. I was 13 years old or 14 years old, and I was scared. My mother was going to fly to L.A. to go visit her friend, and these riots are still happening. I remember vividly. And now you see Oakland and flash mobs happening, and we're not bad kids. They're not bad kids.
No, but people continue to call them monsters and overly aggressive.
It's just bad decisions.
Animals.
And it goes back to what I was saying before. It's like when I was 10, I was prepared. When I was 14, I was prepared.
But that's because you had a vision.
I had a vision. I had people preparing me, right? So when no one's preparing you, 1 of 16 gets it. Right? When everyone's preparing you, it's 15 to 16 get it. So what I'm saying as our responsibility is preparation. So I'm not afraid of the 12-year-old kid in my block who's going to try to take my money. I'm going to pull him aside and say, come work for me. Mm-hmm. My girlfriend was robbed 3 times last week, 3 times in 1 week. Who gets robbed 3 times in 1 week? And the police called her and said, what do you want to do? And she said to the police, you go to trial. This kid was 14 years old. Robbed her twice. Took her phone 1 time. He got away. The second time, took a computer off the table outside the restaurant, and she chased him and got him. 14-year-old kid. What do you want to do? She said, I want to talk to him. I want to sit him down and have him come work for me. I want to big sister him. Because you can't do that. What are you talking about? Either goes to jail or goes to probation. But I want him to go to jail. He's 14 years old.
But now he's a part of the cradle to prison pipeline.
Now he's part of the cradle to prison pipeline, as Russell was discussing. So we have some more questions. Do you think the churches in our community need to stand up?
Everyone needs to stand up. I mean, this isn't just a church issue or a school issue or a community issue. I mean, well, yes, it is a community issue, actually. Too often we say that it takes a village to raise a child. Well, that has went out the window. Yeah. You no longer have the old lady down the block. Excuse me. You no longer have the lady down the block or the woman down the block who would call your parents if she saw you getting into trouble. Now everyone is inside their households and they're not really paying attention to what's going on in their communities or in their streets, for that matter. So I think it's a community issue. It's a world issue. Everyone needs to get involved. Everyone needs to stand up. Everyone needs to get lifted. So mention that
There you
again.
go.
Everyone gets lifted.
Gets lifted. John Legend album Get Lifted.
Is it? Yeah, it is.
Okay.
But it's also a website. So for Terrell, getlifted.com or is it .com or .org? Good question. But again, you guys can send in more questions to either Michael, myself, or either.
If I could talk about the church for a moment,
Mm-hmm.
I think that, and I don't want to pick on the church or the mosque or the synagogue or religious institutions, but I do want to talk about elders for a minute, because I go to church often and I see a lot of elders in the room. And I remember one time a young man said, at the end of the church service, said, who wants to get saved? And this young man stood up and he walked to the front, and he was probably in his mid-20s. And they said he started crying, and then he was, a spiritual moment for him. And the pastor said, if there's a young father, this is in Washington, D.C., if there's a young father in the room, this gentleman, he needs a hand. He needs a young father, to be by his side. He's going through it right now. And it literally took about 10 minutes to find a young father in the room. And I say that because there's not a lot of young people going to church anymore. Not a lot of young people going to the mosque anymore. Not a lot of young people going to the synagogue anymore. And I look at Russell, I hear what he says, and I've worked for him for many years, and the great mentors of our lives, the great elders that we have in our lives, someone like Russell, for me at least as a personal mentor, they continue to grow with us. They grow, we grow. Right? They don't look down upon us for our culture or our music or the way we dress, or the guy created the music and he created our dress, but even, my great mentors, who I love dearly, they don't say, Nicki Minaj, she's whack. Or, Lil Wayne, what he rap about? I like Nas. Nas raps about something. They don't look at the new Jay and Kanye record and be like, it's pop music. Right? You grow with it. And you grow with young people. I've always looked at young people. That's why I love you, Jamira. It's like, you're a hero. I look at you and I need to learn from you. I need to grow with you. I need to see how you're seeing things. The great ideas come from young people. I'm getting old. My birthday's next week. I'm Patrick Ewing's age. I'm 33 in a week. So, I'm not on the street every day with a hot mixtape. I'm not in the street every day hearing, what they think about the president. I'm not in the street every day hearing what they think about what's going on in the United Kingdom. I asked my young people today who work for me, we talk about Medgar Evers because The Help, which is a great movie, by the way, which everyone should go see, Opus today. And it takes place in the town that Medgar Evers was killed in Mississippi. And I said, who here knows who Medgar Evers is? And most of the young people in the room didn't know who he was. Yes, but Emmett Till, they don't know who he is.
No history.
Right? And I'm okay with that, to not judge it, but it's my job to teach that, and it's his job to then teach me what he knows. Right? So I think when you look at the church or look at the mosque or the religious institutions or just the elders in general, we have to the young people, man, they're special. They're really, really special. Even the ones who are making bad decisions, they're really, really special. I met so many drug dealers in my lifetime, and I never met one drug dealer in my life who said I wanted to be a drug dealer because I love what I do. They say I want to be a drug dealer because I want to make fast money. And I say to them, well, you make fast money, I pay my lawyer $400 an hour. Why don't you become a lawyer? Then I look at where I went to school at UCLA, and I look at my law school at UCLA, I see one black student of 45 students at UCLA when I was there. One black student. So I said, man, that kid in the street corner in Little Rock, Arkansas, I was talking to about being a lawyer. He's looking at me like, you a fool. I can't go there. There's no people of color who go there. And so it's my job to say, well, how can I create opportunities for that young man to come to UCLA? So I think it's an important question about the church, but I think the broader question is about the elders and how we as a generation relate to the elders and how they relate to us. Our studio have over 200 people now, just on Ustream. I know folks are watching all over. So people are joining us. Someone says, can you share about the interpreters? So there's an amazing organization in Chicago called Ceasefire that has been around for many years, about 8 or 9 years. And they have a documentary by the guys who made Hoop Dreams, which is one of my favorite films. Steve James is the director, a documentary called The Interpreters, which was about ceasefire. Spent a year in Chicago filming this group of young people who are doing work in the community to interrupt violence. And I'm going to say this one. I don't want to speak too long-winded, but I'm going to let you speak a little bit more so I can shut up. But let's think about it this way. I'm going to give you my new sort of political thought. I'm not going to talk about partisan politics. Lee, don't worry. My Obama picture is over there. I'm going to talk about economics. Okay? A lot of you who are here work with nonprofits. A lot of you have nonprofits, like you run nonprofits, and a lot of you talk about raising money as a charity. Well, I'm going to say this. When it comes to youth violence, the work you guys do is not charity. Okay? The work that you guys do is an investment. And I'm going to tell you how. I'm making these numbers up, but I think I'm close. I don't know the exact numbers, but I think I'm close. There's an organization in New York called Bury the Beef, which I love. Erica Ford, hero. They run a $500,000 a year budget, $500,000. Okay? One homicide in New York City. One homicide. From the arrest, to the police work, to the detective work, to the trial, to the public defender's office, to the prosecution, putting aside the person's convicted or not convicted, just do trial. I'm going to guess cost about $500,000. If not more. Okay? Then they go to prison, looking at millions of dollars. Your life in prison, right? Your father's life in prison, man, it's costing the taxpayers of Virginia, right? Millions of dollars. Okay? On the lowest end of the conservative estimate, Erica Ford and Bury the Beef will stop at least one homicide. Okay, at least one homicide over the course of the year. So I'm going to guess that a young person commits a homicide at 21 years old, goes to prison for life. I'm going to guess it's upward of $5 million. That's my guess, taxpayer, right? For the course of the prison sentence and the trial and everything, $5 million. If you put $500,000 into Erica Ford's program, your return on investment is 10 times because it costs $5 million to go to prison, $500,000 to stop at least one. She might stop 15 of them, right? The ceasefire, so they stopped 300 violent acts last year alone in Chicago. 300. We're not saying all those could turn into homicides, but many of them could. So I look at it now. You say, hey, I give money to charity. That's nice. I'm not a charity. You have enlightened self-interest when you give money. There's no doubt in my mind. You've enlightened self-interest. So your enlightened self-interest is put more money in your pocket. When you put more money in your pocket, it's to have less taxes and not pay so much money to the government. They pay less money to the government is not to have services like dealing with homicides. So when we start looking at this and framing this conversation, let's think about the economics of it. I know it's a tough conversation because we're passionate, we're compassionate, but some people aren't. Some people just don't care if black people kill black people or if another black kid is killed and we don't care about what his name is. And Michael, stop with that, liberal nonsense. You see how much my phone rings. I'm not picking up one of them. We have some more. So go see The Interpreters. It's in movie theaters. It's a brilliant documentary.
We just got a few questions in asking whether or not the president has felt when it comes to youth violence, and also is the president doing enough in regards to youth violence. Recently, the White House actually, around the country, they partner with different organizations to host youth White House roundtables. And through that, there was over 100 White House roundtables, and through that, they came up with 5 issues that are affecting young people. The number 1 was education, and the number 2 was violence. Which goes to show you that young people are aware that this issue is affecting their community. But what makes it even important is that when he had a Twitter town hall meeting, not one question was asked about violence, not one question was asked about the justice system. So I think one thing we need to do is make sure that our legislators and our city officials and our president, whoever he is realize that youth violence is an important issue and it needs to be a top priority. We cannot continue to exterminate young people, and we cannot continue to push them out of the school system and think that they're going to survive. Thomas More, said that if we suffer our people to be ill-educated and their manners to be corrupt since infancy, and then punish them for the crimes in which they commit, how can we do that? Like, how can we create these criminals and then punish them by arresting them? So I ask you to contact your legislator, to contact your city official, and to contact your president, and let them know that violence is a very important issue. We as a community need to get behind it and make sure it's a top priority come 2012. 2012, 2013, 2014.
If I add to that, you're a college student when you have great quotes. Cause I'm so old, my brain, I can't remember one thing. The president and we are working very closely with the White House on this initiative, has just begun a campaign and a project to reduce youth violence in this country. They are starting in 6 cities: Chicago, Boston, Memphis, Detroit, Salinas, California, and San Jose, California. They are doing 6 pilot programs to see if it works with the Department of Justice, Department of Education, Department of Labor, and the White House. And this is a priority for the president, priority for his administration, and we are working closely with them to help them to structure, what it looks like in the communities and how the communities respond. But look, this isn't an Obama problem or a Bush problem or a Clinton problem. It's a long time coming. The issues we have in our communities now, and when Obama, whether he's reelected or not, whatever happens in 2012, whatever happens in 2016, we're gonna have to work with whatever president's in the White House, whatever administration is there, to really, really try to bring some attention to this issue from a federal level.
Yes. So clearly we have to go, but I want to give you guys some information to take with you. Just want to reiterate that Global Grind and the League of Young Voters are partnering to put this initiative on Put the Guns Down Festival, September 4th in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
To find out more information, you can actually go to putthegunsdown.org. I would also like to just say that to find out more information about the Youth Promise Act, go to the youthpromiseaction.org or go to the National Peace Alliance website and find out how you can, one, get involved, but also make sure that your legislators are behind this piece of legislation that is very important.
If I could say one last thing, there's a lot of concern with the economy and what happens when there's no jobs for young people, what happens when the economy is bad. We are the greatest generation. I believe that. We built this thing that I'm talking on right now, Ustream and video chats, and we built Twitter, we built Facebook, and we built MySpace, and we built YouTube, and all these amazing tools that we use now to communicate. We are great, great, great thinkers. I know it's difficult when you have no job. You're like, damn, what am I going to do? Just remember Bill Gates built Microsoft during a recession. Russell Simmons built Def Jam during a recession. Great entrepreneurs. Great ideas. You have great access now. You're watching this on a computer somewhere, whether it's in the library, your home, a friend's house, your mama's house, wherever you are. Don't let this economy stop you from dreaming of the creative ideas that you have in your head. If you want to be an entrepreneur, be an entrepreneur. Start your own business. See what Russell talks to us all the time. See the white space. I'm not talking about race. See that white space. See what we need that is not being served and serve it. And you will be rewarded time and time again. So I thank you for joining us. We had 200 and some odd people more, which is amazing. I thank Jamira for coming up from Philly.
Truly an honor.
I thank my boss for making sure I was doing my job. I know I'm not supposed to be political, and I won't be, but I do want to say one thing that is completely 100% not political. Go out and vote.
Yes.
Register to vote. Go out and vote. I don't care
about the issues.
Who you vote for. I don't care if you vote Republican, Democrat, Independent, Green Party, Tea Party. I don't care who you vote for. Just vote. Vote, vote, vote. A lot of you are going to be 18. It's the upcoming presidential election. It's one of the greatest things in life. We watched them in South Africa wait hours online when Nelson Mandela was elected president. Go out and pull that lever. It is a remarkable feeling to pull the lever for a president of the United States of America, whether he wins or she wins or he loses or she loses.
Can I also just mention too that the presidential election is very important, but also your local elections, because those people have the direct effect on money that is being circulated to your community. So if you're going to vote for the president, also vote for your city officials and your state officials.
Your board of ed.
Yeah, board of ed, if you have it. Unfortunately, Philadelphia doesn't. Coming soon, though. But I just want to say personally, thank our moderator, Tavon Thomas. He's been awesome.
And ATL.
Please find out more information about his website,
GetLifted.org.
GetLifted.org. GetLifted.radio is a wonderful organization. He's doing great things.
GetLifted.radio.
GetLiftedRadio.org.
Oh, hold on. Let's get that right. Let's make sure we got that right.
Yes, because you guys need to check it out.
Terrell,
he's been awesome.
We butchered a lot of, I'd say she butchered. Just saying. GetLiftedRadio.org. I'm going to make sure I'm going there right now. I'm going to give you a unique user, Terrell. That didn't work.
See, it's his fault, really.
You got to make sure.
He added the org.
What is it? It's not GetLifted Radio.
It's GetLifted Radio.
Dot what?
Dot.
You can't just say it's the internet. We need a dot.
Dot.
We're coming. Low connection.
Dot.
Oh, man, we don't see it.
Is it me?
No, don't say dot me. You throw it out there. What? Terrell, where you at, Terrell? We still got him in the room. Get Lifted Radio.
Oh, okay. www.blogtalkradio.com /Get Lifted. See?
Yes.
And there's a Facebook page and a Facebook, a Twitter.
Bam. Yeah. There he is right there. Look at him with his
Gucci, awesome.
Gucci hat on. So he's blogtalkradio.com /Get Lifted. Or you can also go to 99problems.org, which is a project of the League of Young Voters Education Fund.
Get educated, get motivated, and get involved.
That's right. Biko Baker, we love you. Sam, thank you for putting this together.
Thanks for having me.
Jamira, thanks for making this trip up to great. This is the city of brotherly and sisterly. What do you ever call it?
Brotherly love and sisterly affection.
We never sleep, so there's no curfew.
Yeah.